Let's talk about intellectual humility, the first step towards real education. Fellow Toastmasters, we live in the most informed age in human history. Information moves across continents in seconds. We carry libraries in our pockets. We consume opinions before breakfast and statistics before lunch. We debate, comment, react, repost. And yet, despite this explosion of information, something feels fragile in our collective understanding. Conversations fracture easily. Certainty grows louder. Dialogue grows thinner. Why? Because information is not the same as education. And education is not the same as wisdom. Today, I want to speak about the real beginning of education. Not degrees, not credentials, not accumulated facts. The true beginning of education is introspection. It is the courage to examine our own biases. Every human being believes they are seeking truth. No one wakes up in the morning intending to believe falsehood. No one says, I want to be manipulated today. And yet, manipulation works. Propaganda spreads. Echo chambers thrive. This does not happen because people are unintelligent. It happens because people are human. The human brain did not evolve primarily to discover objective truth. It evolved to survive. And for the most of the history, survival meant belonging to a tribe. Agreement meant safety. Shared belief meant coordination. Dissent carried risk. Those who aligned with the group survived more than those who constantly challenged it. So our mind developed shortcuts. We favor information that confirms what we already believe. We trust voices that sounds like us. We defend narratives that protect our identity. And this is not a moral weakness. It is an evolutionary inheritance. But what helped us survive in small tribes can mislead us in complex societies. Today, the tribe is no longer just a village. It's a political ideology, a religious identity, a professional circle, a digital community, an algorithmically curated feed. When a message strengthens our group identity, it feels true. When a claim threatens our group, it feels suspicious. Notice the words feel. Much of what we call conviction is emotional alignment. We often mistake emotional comfort for intellectual clarity. And this is where education must begin. Not with memorizing arguments, not with mastering rhetoric, but with asking a difficult question. Why do I believe what I believe? The question sounds simple. It is not because when we look closely, we often discover that many of our strongest convictions are inherited rather than examined, absorbed rather than analyzed, reinforced rather than tested. True education begins when we become suspicious of our own certainty. Let me clarify something important. Intellectual humility does not come, or it does not mean intellectual weakness. It does not mean constant doubt. It does not mean having no convictions. It means holding convictions with openness to revision. It means understanding that confidence and correctness are not the same thing. It means recognizing that being wrong is not humiliation. It is refinement. One of the most powerful habits a person can develop is this internal dialogue. What evidence would change my mind? If the answer is nothing, then we are not pursuing truth. We are defending identity. And identity defense is very powerful. Propaganda does not succeed because people lack intelligence. It succeeds because it aligns with identity. It tells people they are right. It tells them their group is virtuous. It tells them outsiders are misguided or dangerous. It provides emotional satisfaction. And emotional satisfaction is addictive. If a narrative flatters us, we rarely interrogate it deeply. If it confirms our worldview, we share it faster than we scrutinize it. The disciplined mind resists that impulse. The disciplined mind pauses. between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lives freedom. When we read a headline that provokes anger, do we react immediately or investigate? When we hear an argument that challenges us, do we dismiss it or explore it? Education is the practice of widening that space. It is the art of interrupting automatic reactions. Bias operates automatically. Reflection is deliberate. Let us consider confirmation bias. We naturally seek information that supports our existing beliefs. We scroll towards agreement. We click what reinforces our stance. Over time, our information diet becomes narrow. Not because we are incapable of complexity, but because we prefer comfort. Comfort is not the same as truth. There is also group loyalty. When an idea comes from someone within our circle, we grant it more credibility. When the same idea comes from someone outside our circle, we scrutinize it more harshly. This asymmetry distorts perception. Then there is authority bias. We assume that confidence signals competence. We equate eloquence with accuracy. We are drawn to certainty because certainty feels stable. But certainty without examination is fragile. The more complex a society becomes, the more dangerous unexamined bias becomes. We are no longer navigating small disputes within light communities. We are navigating global networks, technological disruptions, cultural transformation, and unprecedented access to persuasive media. If we do not interrogate our own biases, others will exploit them. If we do not question inherited narratives, we will mistake reputation for proof. If we do not examine our emotions, we will confuse intensity with evidence. And this is why introspection is not optional for a healthy society. It is foundational. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you changed your mind about something significant? Not a minor preference, something meaningful. A belief, a stance, an interpretation. Changing one's mind often portrayed a weakness. In reality, it is one of the greatest cognitive acts a person can perform. It requires admitting incomplete understanding. It requires enduring discomfort. It requires tolerating temporary instability. But it produces clarity. A rigid mind may feel stable, but it is brittle. A reflective mind is flexible. It bends when evidence demands it. And because it bends, it does not break. There is a quiet power in saying, I might be wrong. That sentence disarms defensiveness. It opens conversation. It transforms debate into inquiry. When two people argue to win, they defend. When two people converse to understand, they explore. Education trains us to explore. However, introspection is uncomfortable. Why? Because beliefs are tied to identity. If a belief changes, it can feel as though thyself is changing. The humans crave coherence. We want our worldview to feel consistent. When new information threatens that coherence, the brain experiences tension. To reduce that tension, we often reject the information rather than revise the belief. And this process happens automatically. The discipline of intellectual humility interrupts that process. Instead of asking, how do I defend my position? We ask, what is the strongest argument against my position? Instead of asking, how do I protect my tribe? We ask, what is the most accurate representation of reality? This shift from defense to discovery in the heart of education. An educated person is not defined by how many books they have read. It is defined by how honestly they can examine their own assumptions. So let us be clear. Bias will never disappear completely. It is part of being human. The goal is not to eliminate bias entirely. The goal is to become aware of it. Awareness weakens its unconscious control. When we know we are blind spots, we compensate. We seek diverse perspectives. We listen longer. We react slower. We verify more carefully. Intellectual humility also improves relationships. Many conflicts are not caused by lack of intelligence, they are caused by lack of self-awareness. When people clinch to positions without examination, dialogue collapses into accusation. But when people acknowledge the limits of their knowledge, of their own knowledge, conversation becomes collaborative. Imagine a society where more people said, "Help me understand." Imagine debates where participants were more interested in refining ideas than defending ego. Imagine leaders who publicly revised their views in light of new evidence without fear of ridicule. This is not native idealism. It is cognitive maturity. There is another dimension to this discussion. Modern technology amplifies bias. Algorithms are designed to maximize engagement. Engagement increases when content provokes emotion. Emotional content spreads faster than measured analysis. So the digital environment often rewards outrage over nuance. If we do not practice introspection, we become reactive instruments within that system. If we cultivate introspection, we become less manipulable. The individual who has examined their own biases is harder to provoke, harder to mislead, harder to polarize. And that is strength. Let us return to the original premise. Everyone wants to be knowledgeable. Everyone wants to understand reality. But wanting truth is not enough. We must also be willing to lose comforting illusions. Truth sometimes destabilizes. It challenges inherited certainty. It may distance us from familiar narratives. But truth also liberates. The disciplined pursuit of truth requires 3 commitments. First, intellectual honesty. We must be willing to admit what evidence contradicts our preference. Second, emotional regulation. We must notice when a reaction is driven by identity rather than analysis. And third, curiosity. We must cultivate a genuine desire to understand perspectives different from our own. Curiosity is the antidote to tribal rigidity. When we approach disagreement with curiosity instead of hostility, we grow. Education is not destination, it is a posture. It is the habit of turning the lens inward before projecting judgment outward. Before criticizing others, we ask, what assumptions am I carrying? Before sharing a claim, we ask, have I verified it? Before defending a belief, we ask, why does this belief matter so much to me? This inner audit transforms the mind. Over time, introspection strengthens discernment. Discernment strengthens clarity. Clarity strengthens integrity. And integrity builds trust. In a world overwhelmed by noise, the most powerful intellectual advantage is not volume, it is depth. Depth comes from reflection. There is a profound freedom in recognizing that our identity does not collapse when our ideas evolve. In fact, evolving ideas reflect a living mind. A stagnant mind resists revision. A living mind grows. So let me close with this. Education begins not with books, but with honesty, not with argument, but with awareness, not with certainty, but with curiosity. When we examine our own biases, we reduce the grip of propaganda. When we question our own assumptions, we strengthen our capacity from truth. When we hold convictions with humility, we become intellectually resilient. The world does not need louder opinions. It needs deeper thinking. It needs individuals courageous enough to say, I may have the full picture. The courage is the first step towards wisdom. The wisdom, not mere information, is the true goal of education. Thank you.